everyone, this is Rihanna from A Frugal Life, and today we're going to be talking about grocery store traps that you want to avoid. So did you know that the average American family spends more than $500 a month on groceries? That's crazy. That's a car payment, a part of a house payment. You totally don't need to spend that much on groceries. Or if you do spend that much on groceries, it should be at least the groceries that you really want to buy, like that cupcake, and not the groceries that you don't really want to have to purchase a lot or spend a lot of money on, like rice or beans. So I'm going to show you the grocery store tricks that marketing teams use to make you spend more money than you need to at the grocery store. So while we're here, I don't want you to have anything not to do, so I'm going to give you a task. If you like videos like this on personal finance, side hustles, and learning to live a better life on way less money, all you have to do is click that little button down below. Click subscribe, ping that notification bell so you get notified of my next video, and at the end of this video, I guarantee you're going to want to hit that like button. So there are multi-million-dollar marketing companies that get paid just to come up with the tricks and tips and psychological traps to make you spend more money in the grocery store. Let's go around the grocery store and talk about all those traps and things that you get overcharged on so you can avoid it in the future. The first one we're going to talk about is produce. So I know you probably know that pre-cut produce is convenient and expensive, right? But did you know that pre-cut produce is actually 1.5 times to 2 times more expensive than produce that is not cut? Why are you buying it, right? I know we don't have a lot of time, but it costs you seconds or very few minutes to cut up your oranges, your apples, and things like that ahead of time and put them in containers in the fridge. Don't spend twice as much or 1.5 times as much on pre-cut produce. So it is simple to purchase your produce and cut it yourself. Avoid that whole section with the pre-cut produce because it is just too tempting to stay away from. So stay in the middle of the produce aisles and don't buy pre-cut. How about those large bags of vegetables? I'm always afraid to buy them, I know, but I do it because I know they're less expensive. So 10-pound bags of potatoes, 10-pound bags of carrots, 10-pound bags of apples, or even 3 to 5-pound bags of produce can seem very overwhelming in the store if you don't have a large family, and you may not purchase them because you're afraid they're going to spoil ahead of time. Well, I'm telling you that you need to be purchasing in bulk, even if it's small bulk, like 3 to 5 pounds. 1 or 2 apples can cost you $1 to $1.50 each, if not more, while an entire bag of apples can cost you $3. So why are you spending $1 something on 1 apple, right? So there are super easy ways you can preserve produce once you buy it. One of those ways is to cut it up to make sure that you use it and it doesn't just sit in a cupboard unused. So I pre-cut all my vegetables at the beginning of the week and put them in containers in the fridge. You can also pre-cut fruit to make sure you eat it, as long as you spray it down with some lemon juice or another acidic compound like that. It could also be orange juice. Just spray a little bit on it to keep it from browning, and you can keep that in the fridge as well. If you pre-cut things, you tend to eat them more. And remember, we're not buying pre-cut, we're cutting it up ourselves. The other thing I do, of course, is I pressure can. So I'll pressure can potatoes and carrots to use in soups and casseroles and stews later. I cut up or pre-make potatoes ahead of time, like mashed potatoes and baked potatoes. You can make days ahead of time and keep them in the fridge and then warm them up later. So you have pre-made meals later on during the week or pre-made sides. It's super easy to start using up those big bags of produce once you realize that you just need to prepare them first to make them more convenient for yourself. Trap number 2 is the end caps. Did you know that marketing companies pay big bucks to get their products placed on the end caps? The grocery store is not putting them there for your convenience. They're not putting them there because they're cheaper or they're just because they're on sale. They're putting them there because they get paid a big check in order to put them there. So this is not the best deal. Unless the item on the end cap in that brand and in that size was specifically what you intended to purchase that day, walk around the end cap and go into the aisle and purchase in there. As well as the end caps, people pay premiums to get their items on eye level. So items at the very top of the shelves and the very bottom of the shelves are usually much cheaper and a better deal. So shop in the aisles and not on the top and not on the bottom. Shop in the middle to get the best prices. So I know we all know about this trick, right? It's been going on for decades. Our grandmothers know about this trick, but it's easy to forget. It's a psychological trick. It's not at the forefront of your mind, and that is charm pricing. So marketing and product pricing teams specifically price their items with a 99 cents, an 89 cents, or even a 79 cents at the end to make you think the item is cheaper. And it's hard to avoid thinking that item was only $9 when really it's $10. right? Because you look at the 9 first, not the 99 cents. So my tip is no matter what the price, I don't care if it's $9.99 or $3.49, round up. It's better to think you're spending a little bit more and be pleasantly surprised than to be totally shocked when you get your grocery bill at the end of the month. Next is packaged goods. Packaged pasta sauce especially is overpriced, right? So I'm thinking that I got a great price because I got packaged pasta sauce like Ragu or Prego for $1.49, when if I actually work it out on creating a big pot of sauce myself with even just canned tomatoes and spices and other things that go in the sauce, I can add the meat, I can can it myself, I can freeze it, and it's always a fraction of the cost. So even if you are buying the cheapest pasta sauce, you are getting overcharged. So make your pasta sauce in big batches at the beginning of the month, freeze it in portion size or meal size containers, and you will save a ton of money and skip the Ragu jars and the Prego jars at the store. Next trap is meat. It is so convenient and appealing when you don't know what to cook. When you get to the meat aisle and everything's cut up for you, right? You get pork chops sliced in perfect portions. You get stew meat chopped up into little cubes. You get carne asada meat shredded already for you. And did you know that if you look at the price per unit, you are getting way overcharged for something you don't even have to pay for? So most butcher's counters in the back of big grocery stores like Safeway and Vons and Raley's and Lucky's will cut meat for you for free. So they will cut up bigger portions into smaller things like stew meat and price it up. But if you actually get the bigger portion yourself, take it to the counter and ask them to cut it in stew meat, they don't price it up. It's crazy. I do it all the time. And if you can't have your butcher's shop do that, you should be doing it yourself. You should never ever be paying a premium to have somebody chop a piece of meat for you. Make sure you have a good knife at home and you can cut up your stew meat yourself. So it's easy to search online and find out what cuts stew meats are actually made of if you don't know and you're not familiar with meat. Buy that cut in big portions, cut it up, portion it yourself, and put it in the freezer. So while we keep going here, I've got another statistic for you. Did you know that the average American spends 9.8% of their entire yearly income on food? That's a lot, right? That's something we can totally drastically reduce. So let's talk about a few more money traps. If you're not taking notes, be sure to start taking notes now. I will also put timestamps down below so you can revisit things that you really liked and wanted to hear again. So next is packaged meat and cheese. We buy deli meat a lot. It's easy to make my husband sandwiches with, but they are expensive. Those packages are expensive if you work them out per pound. So they give you the price per ounce on the little cards most of the time. They give you the price per package. You're thinking that $4.99 is not that big, but if you actually work out the ounces, you're sometimes paying between $13 and $14 a pound or more. So the smaller the package, the more you're even paying per pound. So those deli meats in the different things like Foster's Farms and those other brands are extremely expensive. You can often get it even cheaper, fresher, and tastier if you go to the deli and purchase whatever's on sale and have them cut it by pound. I've worked it out by pound numerous times, and the deli meat sliced on sale at the actual deli counter is typically cheaper than the ones already pre-packaged in the deli meat aisle. The other thing you can do, which my mom does, is purchase yourself, invest in a deli meat slicer. So she has a small home version. She can actually buy big chunks of meat that are already cooked, like ham and things like that, from the deli for cheaper, and slice them up herself in real deli slices. So that's an even better way if you have a huge family. That's a great investment. I will put a link down below to one that I think she uses, similar to the one that she uses, if you want to do that. If not, at least compare prices when you're purchasing, and compare by the pound, not by the ounce. Next is impulse items, and it is not just kids that get sucked in by impulse items. So grocery stores have their impulse sections. These are things that are at the end caps of checkout registers, that are in the line for the checkout registers. Now my grocery store has different kiosks placed next to the counter, so when you're waiting in line, you have to walk by them. And these items are all very expensive. Even if they're not expensive, even if they're 99 cents a piece, like chips or sale items or things like that, it's things you didn't intend to buy anyway. So you shouldn't be grabbing impulse items on your way out. If it's not on your list, as you walk up to the grocery store counter, look away and do not buy it. I actually am able to avoid doing this by staying on my phone and just checking Facebook and YouTube and things like that while I'm in line. So I'm not eye level with those things that I want to purchase in the impulse aisles. So next we're going to pivot a little bit and tell you about specific specific items that are overpriced in grocery stores that you either should not be buying, you should be making yourself, or you should be buying elsewhere. The first thing we're going to talk about is the bakery department. It is so appealing. Everything looks so good. Everything's prettily packaged up for you. You can take home a dozen muffins. You can take home cupcakes or cookies or a pre-made cake, and it seems so convenient and actually pretty inexpensive next to going to a real bakery. However, you can save a ton of money by avoiding buying baked goods in the bakery aisle. So it does not take you a lot of time to actually whip up a batch of box muffins, or even better, a box of scratch muffins. There are tons of recipes on the internet if you don't have recipe books at home, but making muffins at home is so inexpensive. You just have to buy things like the flour and the blueberries and things like that and keep them on hand. I especially like banana muffins because they're really cheap to make, and things I can make with my canned goods like peach muffins and things like that. So muffins are something that's very expensive at the bakery that you can make yourself. That goes for all baked goods. Sometimes it feels like if you're not a baker that it's more expensive to purchase all of the items to bake things than it is to buy things in the bakery aisle. But actually, once you stock your baking pantry, it is super cheaper to actually make the items yourself. And you can pre-make a ton of muffins and freeze them. They unfreeze wonderfully. You pop them in the microwave for a little bit. They're warm and soft and fluffy. So it is okay to make dozens of muffins or cookies or a cake on the weekend and freeze it and eat it later, and you will save a ton of money. If you're not a baker and you just don't want to bake, it's okay. So if I am going to actually purchase something in the bakery aisle, I go to the very back, which is where our clearance and day old section is for our grocery store, and I purchase things at the day old shelf. So they literally were just on the shelf at full price the day before or even hours before. Sometimes I go when they've just put the things out there. So by skipping 20 minutes, you can actually purchase things for half price or a quarter of the price, depending on your grocery store. If your grocery store does not have a day old section, so if your grocery store doesn't have a clearance section or you're not sure where it is, go ask the bakery counter. They will tell you if they have day old goods, when they'll be put out. They may even pull things from the back that they were going to put out or pull from the shelves and get them to you half price. So don't skip those clearance items at the bakery. Those are much cheaper and much better than purchasing full price at the bakery counter, of course. Next on the list, things you should never purchase at a grocery store. Beauty products, including hairspray, shampoo, conditioner, hair color, makeup especially. All of these things, prices are racked up at the grocery store because that's not typically something that they sell a lot of. The pricing is very expensive. They're not usually on sale. If they are on sale, it's not a good enough sale, and the selection is limited. So if you're going to buy drugstore brand type things like Sally Hansen and Maybelline, make sure to buy them in a drugstore. They are cheaper, especially if you get the discounts and the sales and things like the beauty deals at CVS. Just walk next door. There's probably a drugstore there, or drive down the road and go there for your beauty products. Don't be tempted to purchase them because they're convenient in your grocery store. Next is cooking tools. I don't think I've ever purchased a cooking tool or a pan in a grocery store unless it was one of those deals where you put stamps in and you can get them for free. So they do have a cooking tools aisle, and it is tempting to purchase things. If you're not really a baker or you're not a cooker, you're trying to make a recipe, you need that specific pan, you're making something for a host or something like that, you just want to get it done really quickly, it can be tempting to purchase those things in the grocery store. There's almost any other store that's cheaper than a grocery store for cooking tools. So you can go to the dollar store, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Grocery Outlet, purchase them online. If you're really trying to get them fast, just drive down the street and go to the next store. So Target or Walmart or any of those stores are cheaper than the grocery store. It is worth it to save 50% or 75% on those items because the grocery stores rack them up super high for convenience factor. Next, super high markup on prepared foods in the deli. So I love deli food. Sometimes I just really want to buy it, but I have to look at a tub of potato salad that would have cost $3 to make a 5-pound batch, and it costs $6 to buy a few ounces, and realize that is not a good deal. That is worth my time to make it at home. So this is another thing you can make in big batches at home. My grandmother used to make huge batches of macaroni salad because we loved it and keep it in the fridge for all week long. If you're buying those big tubs to last in the fridge for all week long anyways, that is crazy. You can make a macaroni salad just like the grocery store's version or 100 times better in about the time that it takes to boil the noodles. So prepared things like that, prepared salads, buy the ingredients for them, make it yourself. You will get twice as much out of the amount that you spent on a tiny little prepared package of them. It will be fresher and tastier. Sometimes those things last in the deli counter trays for several days. They will take them out of the deli counter trays and put them back in the fridge. So you could be eating week-old macaroni salad at $6 a pound. So that is not worth it. That is a bad buy, and that is a super money trap. Next is greeting cards. Super tempting to purchase greeting cards at the grocery store because you are just thinking as you go through the line, I forgot that person's birthday, right? So if you're sending paper cards, don't buy them at the grocery store. Please, it's so expensive. Buy them at the drugstore when they're on sale. Keep some in your desk drawer when they're on sale. I purchase greeting cards at the dollar store all the time. They're super cute. They're 2 for $1. These are items that get thrown away anyways. You should never be spending $6 on a card, no matter how cute you will think it is. It is not $6 worth of cute. I do have another thing that I do is make my own printable birthday cards. I have a card up above, up here. It's a pretty popular video on how to make your own cards for free and print them using a free software called Canva. So at least if you're not going to do that, purchase them at the dollar store or a similar store. Don't purchase them at the grocery store. Next is over-the-counter medications. Super expensive. If you have to and you cannot get to another store, go ahead and purchase that ibuprofen at the grocery store. But if you can get your butt in the car to go anywhere else, go somewhere else. So of course a drugstore like Walgreens or CVS is much cheaper for over-the-counter medications. We actually purchase brand name medications at Grocery Outlet all the time for a fraction of the cost of CVS. Or if you have time, you can purchase them online. So of course, grocery store medications, they have a smaller selection and they're very expensive. And even when they're on sale, they're usually more expensive than they are at your local drugstore. So avoid medications at the grocery store. So I'm going to keep this video short. I have a lot more money traps for the grocery store. If you want to see a part 2, let me know in the comments down below. But I want to make sure this is short enough that you can get it in between your errands for the day. So my last item is pet food. I have purchased many times grocery store pet food because if you have to feed your pet, you have to feed your pet. And sometimes you do not have time to stop at another store. But every other store that I've been to is less expensive. So the best places I've found for pet food is feed stores. And I'm talking feed stores for farm animals. They have pet food as well. Tractor Supply is a store in our area that's similar, a farm store, and they have very inexpensive name brand high quality pet food, way cheaper, at least half the cost of the grocery store. Dollar General has great pet food deals. Grocery Outlet has great pet food deals. Big Lots and not the dollar store. So I would not feed your dog or your pet dollar store dog food. Is really low quality and it may have bad things in it that is not great for them, and they don't have good quality control over their pet food specifically. I do love the dollar store. I have lots of videos on good things to buy at the dollar store, just not pet food. So Grocery Outlet, Dollar General, even the drugstore, just avoid the pet food at the grocery store if you can all help it. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. As always, I love it if you hit like or comment down below. Please hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you can only do one of those things in your mind today, please hit subscribe. I will talk to you soon. As always, I love you very, very much. You are all my friends and family on the internet, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.